keywords were the way the products have been powered to this point. Back in the old day, it was AOL, keyword this, right? And people did a lot of searches for information and product based, and all that information ties backwards into literally a customer need that is defined by all the keywords that are relevant and all the products that are relevant to that need. The need could be, I don't have a tent and I want to go camping. Well, you need a tent. If you're also going camping and you need a tent, then the large language model would say, well, you probably need other things as well. So now it starts to use a little bit of logic, reasoning, and cognitive reasoning inside of that engine. And it basically says, oh, you probably need a camping chair, and you probably want a fire stick, and you probably want the lighter fluid, and you probably want the chairs. And it's now going to start looking and saying, well, you also look like all these other people who are searching 30 million times a year.
Today, we're talking to Neil Twa about how entrepreneurs can use generative platforms to build real, durable e-commerce businesses. We break down the discovery to launch journey, the tools that eliminate guesswork, and the system that helps creators transform demand data into winning brands. If you want to become an AI-enabled e-commerce business owner, this episode is for you.
This is the Value Creators Podcast, your source for a new kind of business education, escaping from business administration mode and entering dynamic entrepreneurship mode. We're guided by entrepreneurial economics, which is the source of all growth and positive change for businesses of all sizes in all markets. We talk to experienced experts in value creation so that there's business learning for you in every episode.
Neil, welcome back to the Value Creators Podcast.
Hey, Hunter, it's great to be here again.
Well, it's great to see you again. We talked about the FBA system at Amazon last time, and that was a great platform for entrepreneurs. And since then, we've talked to a number of experts in the field of what's being called generative platforms that enable entrepreneurs to do their own thing and generate their own ideas and run their own businesses. It's not the platform that does it for you, but it gives you the framework to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So you've advanced from your FBA system to a new product that Voltage is offering. So tell us about that at a high level. What do you call it? What does it do? And then we'll work our way into the details.
Yeah, it really gets down to answering the question that is the biggest one I've always gotten. It actually came out of a call I had about, 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago with a client. We went through this, thought process of discovering products and identifying the conditional statements by which you find a product idea that the market could buy from you. And I remember he gets to the end of the question. He says, well, what the heck do I sell? He's like, I understand all of that, but what do I actually sell? And it's the biggest question of any e-com company. And as we've gone through that process for 12 years and developed, systems and processes inside, it is a tool base that we have created called the Greenlight process. It's powered by what we call our Cayman Data Intelligence Engine. And it's an engine that's built using AI and analytics and years of systems processes to basically help you discover, build, and optimize a product that the market already wants. It's very important to understand the way we look at businesses today in the systems, as well as the processes and the knowledge. And I think a lot of people rely too much on technology, but I want people to see today that technology can be an enabler to an idea of a product that you might want to sell. But the real question becomes, is there a demand for that product that I can step into, produce a product that the market wants, and use that product to start my brand building exercise? And that's kind of what I want people to understand today, right?
Yeah, so I'm delighted to hear you say that, because we always put it in kind of academic language. What is the need? Can you identify the need? You have a much more, I think, commercial and better way of saying it, which is knowing what the market wants and will pay for.
They're already buying it. Yeah.
Well, let's start that. How do you derive that?
So if I show you any kind of system or tool set and I just say go, you're going to use it differently than the next 100 people. It's kind of the curse of the SaaS founder to try to build a product that you get as many people as possible to have the same outcome. So we're going to try to get through that thought process here in our basic principles today. And the first is the discovery phase. As I discover an idea, a product, or I look through conditional building of ideas and I look at the market and I say, what do people want to sell? A lot of people are going to be concerned that if I launch a product, I don't know if there's any demand. Am I going to make any sales with that product? It's usually their biggest concern, right? Especially if I'm going to spend any time, energy, attention, or money doing that. And so as we've gone through that process of looking into the market and discovering what it wants, what we have found in our business model to be the most successful really is what we originally called our as seen on TV strategy. Because if the product was out there already being sold in the marketplace with lots of money being marketed to it, the logical assumption we make, correlation, is that somebody's buying that product, right? There wouldn't be an infomercial for somebody not buying a product, right? Or at least their goal is to get them the product. And the more you see the infomercial, the more you're like, well, they're buying that product, right?
You hope so.
And so we went through that process and said, okay, how do we conditionally get to the position where we find ourselves in a demand capture, not a demand creation position? It's very different to go out and
Mhm.
try to capture demand and bring knowledge to a product. It's very different when the knowledge and information about that product has already been disseminated so much that there's now a demand for that product type in the market. So we went that direction and we said, well, how do we get that data? Well, Amazon has some of it. We built a lot of it ourselves because Amazon wouldn't give up a lot of it. But 3 years ago, they started giving us more and more data inside of their system, which gave us a really good insight into the customer need and the customer intent of products that are already on demand. And as we took that and massaged it through our green light process, which was originally just a big spreadsheet of data we piled together with VAs and assistants to put a basic dashboard together of information to drive the business from the data side, not like, emotions, if you will,
Mhm.
but data driven business decisions on a product level, it started to produce very successful products inside of our brands. And as we know, as you pay attention to the first one, the products drive the brand, but the brand drives everything in the end, right? The brand, the affinity, the narrative ultimately drives the products or the connection that get us to the brand, but then we stay with that brand versus another one because of our connections to it, our emotion, whatever it is, right? What has served us, it's helped us, we loved it. It's the iPhone that let us connect with our dad or mom long distance or whatever the connectivity to it is, right?
Yeah, we call it subjective value.
Subjective value, right? Well, there's an objective outcome of that. Should I use it or build a relationship through that product to the brand because I like it so much more than something else, right? So what we said, is there a way to look at that data and say, with our knowledge and experience, have the data basically tell us in so many words, if there is a Coke in the market and everybody wants Coke, could there be a Pepsi too?
Hmm.
Right? If there's a Nike, could there be a Reebok? If there's a Walmart, could there be a Target? And just using that simple thought process, we went through the data and in the questioning of that data discovered, well, yeah, there actually is. In the systems we have today, AI systems building these platforms all over the place now, including on Amazon, that's what it's using to determine how to sell you a product in 30 seconds or less. And it's this data-driven intelligence engine now that becomes both my marketing, my analytic, and my discovery tool. So I plug in an idea to the tool we called ours Need Scanner. And it basically goes through and says, okay, I know there's 103,000 needs on Amazon that are making up all of its sales. Here are the top needs based on their rank in the system. That also ties to the amount of units they move and the demand that is already there. And my green light process literally filters that data down and says, oh, great, I know now what Amazon has. I know how many units there are, and I have all this exact data. Now I want to massage it so I can literally have a product pop out that says, hey, there's a Pepsi here that could be sold to somebody's Coke. You should go think about selling it.
Tell
And
us
so many,
just a little bit more about needs, Neil.
yeah, needs.
Amazon it's got data, it's got information
Yep,
about sales and units and things, as you say. But
all that stuff.
how do you get needs information?
So one of the ways that these systems have ran until the AI systems caught up and large language models came online and now can disseminate, all of this information extremely fast. Keywords were the way the products have been powered to this point. Back in the old day, it was AOL keyword this, right? And people did a lot of searches for information and product based, and all that information ties backwards into literally a customer need that is defined by all the keywords that are relevant and all the products that are relevant to that need. The need could be, I don't have a tent and I want to go camping. Well, you need a tent. If you're also going camping and you need a tent, then the large language model would say, well, you probably need other things as well. So now it starts to use a little bit of logic, reasoning, and cognitive reasoning inside of that engine. And it basically says, oh, you probably need a camping chair, and you probably want a fire stick, and you probably want the lighter fluid, and you
Mhm.
probably want the chairs. And it's now going to start looking and saying, well, you also look like all these other people who are searching 30 million times a year for camping products. So there's a need called camping product, or a need called camping chair, or a need called camping matches. And those needs basically wrap up all of the product types, all of the customer use cases and intents for that product, and then takes all that data and says, hey, I wonder if Hunter, who loves camping, would also love this and this and this. And it uses all those data points to basically pull that together for the specific intent of you buying something in 30 seconds or less. So as we look at those needs, they're a very high level need that if we target the need, it's like targeting the specific use case of that product, and every other use case it can possibly be thought up because that engine is doing exactly that.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Doing it for us.
We always used to say that every word typed into a search bar is an expression of need, and you've brought that into real life.
Exactly. So I know that there are 103,000 customer needs and a little variation at times on the back end, but the primary needs that power pretty much everything for all kinds of products through the engine called Amazon, which is a huge market share, are made up by those specific needs. And so I simply took my green light process and said, well, let's rank all those needs by profitability and demand and customer intent. And let's look at them all and say, hey, which one is the most profitable, highest in demand? And then let's go look and see, is there a product that is currently dominating that market that doesn't have a competitor, not at the level that we think it should? And the answer is yes. And many times there are thousands upon tens of thousands of those opportunities, millions, most likely. And we look at it and say, okay, we discover product ideas. Why? Because I literally asked the engine about camping tents, and it literally tells me what are all the needs and the rest of the needs that tie to anybody interested in a camping tent, and then tells me the order by which they're most relevant. And then I can filter that down into the highest profit. And from there, I can look and say, okay, who's making the highest profit estimates of a product that has a camping tent? And can I go make a competitor for that tent and go build that product and then discover if my brand can sell that product, because there's already a need, there's already profit, it's already moving in the system. I'm not guessing, I'm simply looking at the data.
Yeah. So I can't sell exactly the same product, and
That's right.
so some differentiation is called for. I think you call that product development, a big umbrella for
product development.
How do I get to the differentiated product? So tell us about that process.
Well, that's the simple phrase is innovation over invention. So if I know there's a Coke in the market, do I have to go invent something holistically unique? No. Somebody went and invented Dr. Pepper. They just invented a different version of a soda pop drink that meets a need for people's thirst. Pepsi did the same thing. It's a slightly different version of the same product, but created a unique brand with multiple other things inside of it. And now they have multiple brands and snack foods and chips and all kinds of stuff that they've rounded out, right? I figured if you want to drink, you probably want a snack too. So they went and bought all that, right? So we do very similar things. We borrow from retail, right? If there is an opportunity to see a product that's setting up in the $50 to $500 retail price point, and I see market share being taken over by smaller sellers at like the $20 to $30 range, I'm going to say, hey, is there a $50, a $99, $199 opportunity for that product? And who is actually setting at that market share right now and that customer need that doesn't have a competitor? And if the answer is the data shows me that I can do that, the question then becomes, well, how? Which is basically what you're asking. I innovate. I look at that market. I look at all the things the data is telling me about who's buying it, at what price point they're buying the most, and then what are the features and benefits they find most interesting about that product. Now, I can get that information from Amazon. Okay, there's a thing called Product Opportunity Explorer, and I can actually look in there in that Explorer data that Amazon gives brands who have brand registration now and trademark, and look in there and see, oh, it is this price point, these feature sets, that's most in demand, here are the top products. And so all I need to do with my system is literally look at the green light of it and say, can I make it profitable? Because I see right now that there's not a competitor in that market. So I will look at it and go, oh, they have these features, but not that one. So can I simply innovate a product in the market that has a competitive, innovative advantage and go compete with them? Can I create a Pepsi?
There's some creativity in that, right?
Yeah, I'll give you an example of a product we have. We looked in the market and we said, hey, who's selling ice creams? Because one of the customer needs on Amazon that's very large is ice creams. People are doing 36 million searches a year for ice cream. Like, it's huge, right? But under ice cream is everything that is a part of that, including the mixes, the scoops, the bowls, and the machines, right? And we looked at that and we said, well, who are some of the top players? Well, there's Ninja. Ninja has a creamy. We looked at the Ninja creamy and we said, what's different about that one? Why are they able to sell that at $389 and other people are selling theirs at like $99? And there's commercial versions at like $1,000 and $5,000. And there's nothing else competing within that same price range. What's going on here? A little bit of innovative research determined that Ninja has a kind of a situation where they've created a lot of brand value and their innovations are great, but they were missing one thing. And we said, hey, could we go do that one thing? So we went to the manufacturer and we said, hey, could you make the machine to do this? And they said, yeah, absolutely we could. And what it was is that Ninja has the pre-freezing bowl that you have to put into the refrigerator and wait 24 hours before it freezes. Well, we simply put that into the machine.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to wait 24 hours in our machine to get ice cream. You have to wait 30 minutes or less. So you can literally pour that stuff in the back of our ice cream, and in less than 30 minutes, you pull the handle, and out comes your favorite soft serve. And we innovated it also towards any alternative milks so that it would work great, and then built a recipe book to support that. So if you are, don't want dairy, if you want alternative, if you rather have coconut, if you want to put protein and have protein, ice cream, which is big now, and you want to eat more healthy, like we eat coconut ice cream at our house, well, here's the recipes, and it works in the machine, and it can produce that ice cream for you. Well, we sold almost 90,000 of that in the first 30 days of our launch. So we created a competitor that now people look at in terms of the price point. It's right up against the Ninja Creamy, but its innovation is that we can get ice cream in 30 minutes or less, and they can't.
Right. Which is a known need
It
because
was a 36 million searches a year for people who are eating ice cream. There was a node called ice cream machines, and we looked into it and we said, hey, look, there's an opportunity. Of course, there's an opportunity cost. We had to create a machine, and that's part of brand building, but it was there for us to go take, and the money's there for us to go get. Well, we launched that, and Amazon literally came to our doorstep and said, hey, we saw you, we saw what you did, we saw your product, we absolutely love it. How do we do more of it? Here's your growth team. How many more units can you move? And we want to partner with you for the next year to take this out to the market. So now we have a whole growth team around us.
Well, before we get there, though, you just described your innovation process. You
Yes.
designed and built this new machine. You need you said we went to the manufacturer, but
Yes.
you build a whole supply chain for that. So
we did. So how do we do that? Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So the machine, to get to that point, we went through and used a process and a tool, another AI driven tool that we're incorporating into our platform that makes it very easy to take the data from inside of our system and port it to this other AI system that goes out and basically helps you find the manufacturer. So many of these systems online now are all becoming AI enabled with tool sets and large language models, and it's actually becoming easier, believe it or not. There are complexities, of course, in all of this, as we're kind of pointing out at the high level, and I don't want to get too detailed and warp people's brains, but we go to another tool set that ties into a company called Alibaba. Now, that's just a search site. It's a place where manufacturers connect. There are tens of thousands of manufacturers all over the world. We had not had a machine-based manufacturer for this yet, so we had to go find one. And we used that tool. We basically put the images in, we put in information that we had created, and we said, hey, help us go find a manufacturer. And this AI tool set went and did it. It literally went and helped us find a manufacturer for samples that we got. We also attended a home show in Chicago last year, and it ended up being one of the manufacturers from that home show, one of the ones we connected with, which turned out to be great. Coincidence, but good. And that's the one that we ended up going with. We bought some sample units, we got them to the States, and we started playing with them and breaking them and trying to figure out how to make sure they would work great, because we wanted to create a great machine that people would love and would get good reviews, because the data proved people would love the machine. We have to close the cycle, of course, and getting a good manufacturer and that relationship going is one by which they were not only willing to help us deal with any issues, they were willing to help us engineer the product at another level. They are also willing to help us, split some of the tariff costs that were temporarily there at the time we were purchasing this during the tariff situation that was going on. And they were willing to say, hey, we'll cut some of the tariff costs if you guys could eat the other half of it. So that was a great manufacturing relationship.
Yeah. And how about the contracting, Neil?
So the contracting goes like this. Anytime out of our country, you can get an exclusive written contract, but it's only going to be as legally binding as much as you're willing to follow up with it, or the country of origin in which you have to execute it. So in this case, we had to go to China because we couldn't find another manufacturer in Pakistan or Vietnam or anywhere else where they would manufacture the product like we wanted it. So we ended up in China.
But the AI helps you with the contracting and tells you what a good contract is.
Well, no, it didn't do that, because we have a contracts exclusivity we've created through legal companies already that we just simply created a template for. But could you use that? Yeah, I would just always say that if you use AI to create something, you should always have somebody else check it over, especially on the legal side, because we've had AI kind of mess with legal contracts before.
Understood. We've had folks on the podcast before with a service of we'll go to China and find a manufacturer. Sure. You're saying the AI systems can do that now.
They can actually go and do product user-based agent research now for you. where it's so detailed that all the information is there that you need. You just obviously need the gap between your knowledge and the information you're seeing to know what to actually do with it. That's an
Yeah,
important distinguishing thing, right?
absolutely. Yeah,
The
good.
knowledge and training of how to do it are sometimes more important than what you've got, because I could give a tool again to you and you could use it and you'll have a different outcome if you don't understand what you're looking at. But
You've
so much
talked
of that can be done now.
you've talked a little bit about pricing. You're finding that the right profit optimizing price and the right niche in the
Yes,
marketplace, and you also talk on your site about generating customer loyalty through pricing and promotion. So take
absolutely.
us through that part. Take us through pricing
Well,
intelligence.
here's the thing about most people's understanding of pricing. They believe it somehow is I guess it's a logical fallacy of argument in our economics, or a lack of understanding that if I lower my price, I will make more sales. Therefore, I will fulfill my mission as a business. And we actually take the opposite direction on that. When we go to pricing, we're looking for what is the competitive pricing that in people's minds looks at that and says, well, if it's priced here and the other one's priced here at the same relative price point, the value of each of those should be as great or greater than what we're looking to get from them. It'd be like saying, okay, here is a Honda and here's an Acura. They're not priced the same because their market and their target avatar is different. Therefore, the outcomes, experience, luxury versus non-luxury is going to be different, the same way I'd look at an Acura versus a Lexus. So what it is to price value, not just into the profitability, but the market's expectation of that product price point. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to continue to lower the pricing, then I'm going to have not only race to the bottom pricing, but I'm going to have a certain breaking in the psychological buying point where people are going to look at it and say, that's about the same value as something I would have found at Walmart. And what I want them to look at it and say, that's fine, but I'm not here to move Walmart based profit pricing. I'm here to increase the net profit and value of my brand so that people are willing to pay whatever the market will bear for that product because it is worth that much to the market. They love it, they like it, they're willing to review it. So with
Mm-hmm.
pricing, it's really a psychological strategy. We use a lot of 88s, like, 239.88, 399.88. There's a lot of pricing nuances built into the psychology of pricing for folks. And we play with those pricings because they will see certain levels of value. And typically, when people go, I'm going to lower my price to increase my sales, we actually say, try the opposite first. Raise your price because your price may be too close, where people are like, yeah, I'd rather just get the cheaper one, because their value perception of that product has different levels of value. Let me give you an example. And maybe this is a terrible one because you're guys, and I'm about to talk about purses. So let's maybe take that for what it is. There's a difference between a purse for $100. I have 5 women in my house, so I know like one thing about
I have a
purses.
purse loving wife, so I know.
I just listen. But I do know there's a difference between what they're willing to buy at 100 to 500 and what they're looking at in terms of 500 to 2,500 or $5,000 for a purse.
Mhm.
And it really gets down to that brand value, that perception of authority, that perception of authenticity, of wealth, or other things that come through your products and how what you wear and what brands you have. And there's some people who care less about that. And they're like, look, I just want $100 purse that holds my stuff, or a backpack, or a wallet for men, right? Men are typically not going to look at it and go, I'll spend $500 on a wallet.
Mhm.
Right? Not a lot of men will do that. Most men are going to be like, hey, you know what? I'd barely spend $50 on a wallet, but I'll spend maybe 50 if it has like technology and it's lighter and it has some features in it, and I would use it for the next 10 years. So again, the pricing psychology has to be met to the avatar, and it isn't always about the lowest price. So I think a lot of people think, in the last point, that a lot of people think that it's harder to make profit and sell a business and go to growth or scale on products that are like 50 to 100 to $500 in price point. They think that the only way to get there is to sell a 10, 20 or $30 product. And that's actually not right. It just is hard to sell a $20 product as it is to sell a $200 product.
Right.
It
Yeah,
just gets down to how much profit you want to make and how fast you want to grow.
we're delighted to announce the Value Creators online course. For entrepreneurs in every kind of business, big, small, or medium, at every stage, in every industry, our course provides the foundations and principles on which to build success. Simple, clear purpose and principles give rise to creativity, innovation, and competitively superior business action. There are 11 foundational principles or mental models that together cohere into the value business model. Principles for value generation, principles for value operations, principles for value finance and accounting, and principles for value sustainability. as well as the new knowledge accumulation you'll need for continuous innovation. These principles are delivered by top business professors from top business schools: Mark Packard, Peb Island, Gordon Miller, David Rapp, and Bart Vanderhagen. You'll find video lessons from them, along with downloadable tools, processes, and other valuable content. Master these lessons, and you'll master the most important skill in business: value creation. Go to thevaluecreators.com and click the course link. Yeah, you use the phrase that we use a lot, which is willingness to pay, which is a discovery. You discover
whatever the market will bear.
Willing to pay, right, based on their perceptions.
And for this point, the market will bear $389 ice cream machines. Yeah. A lot. Because they can see the difference between the not waiting for 24 hours or the sub 99 ones where they're like, I don't know. Might as well get a hand cranking one.
Yeah, you've got a benefit for that.
Or if it's close enough to a traditional commercial ice cream sort of experience without paying the ice cream experience or going to McDonald's and not having the machine work at all, then they're going to put one in and say, hey, that's the value that I see of this machine. If it brings joy and experience and people love it, then it was completely worth it. And really, it is finding that psychology of buyer, and it is platform specific too, to be very clear.
So we've got the need, we've got the product engineered, we've got a supply chain, we've figured out the pricing. You have launch capabilities too.
We do, right? Yeah. It's really down to that. Yeah. We do market test and launching, and the platform in the build and optimize phases is really to build a listing of data. Okay, because we talked about this before, but to be very clear, when I talk about the products, a lot of people need to understand that innovation is baked into the cake of the product so that I don't have a me too product. And if you're very concerned about, well, I don't know what to innovate, the more you read about the product types, the more you dig into the data, the more it will be easily discovered what the differences are in innovating a product to create something unique. It comes out of this experience I'm about to talk about. And that is where we go in and build what we call a composite listing of data that ties to Cosmo on the Amazon side and their Rufus engine to go out and build a data set that specifically drives to that customer need and intent for the demand of that product already in the marketplace. So with 36 million people a year, that engine knows very well who is currently serving that market at its highest levels, right? Both at the consumer level, but at the profitability level for Amazon, right? They know their numbers, okay? And so what I want to look at is the data of existing products. And I want to say, what are they doing really well with their data? And how can I replicate that into a unique listing of images, graphics, and copy and data that literally, in simple terms, creates a giant prompt of data that I give to an AI engine. So I'm brokering data to this AI engine. And when I do it, I want to make sure that it reads all of the data, presents the believed understanding of my avatar, understands that, and then ties that to the demand that is already there. So in simple terms, it's a giant prompt of information that I give to an AI system. If I get it right, the system will reward me with high scores inside of the data set, and then will be easily and quickly able to say my data is relevant to what it already knows about the 36 million people, and then it becomes a marketing engine for me. I get that wrong, and my score is low inside of this system, I'll be fighting an uphill battle the entire time that's live.
So can you go through an improvement process then? I run it once.
You can, but here's the thing. You don't have to anymore, right? Okay. Because when we get this right from the very beginning, when I have 80% of the data that says I'm creating an ice cream machine with an innovation like this against a competitor in the market, here are my value statements, here are my images, my graphics and copy that all tie to that too, and also have the image literally tested to make sure that when it's read by AI, it comes up with the same conclusions because as AI is reading the images. And then all of my content and the way I structure the content is both sales and marketing oriented, but it is aligned with that customer in need and intent language all the way through the entire listing. So I know without a doubt, these are all the keywords, phrases, customer intent phrases, and language tied to every use case that is very optimized for that product and that market segment, so that when I feed it to that engine and the minute that goes live on their system, it goes, I read this correctly, and with you and me here, it produces an image of that in its head, if you will, in the data set. And it says, oh, I get it. And if you could put it into an image, generation tool, you'd be like, oh, that's great. All the fingers look good and the hair looks great. And that was a pretty good image. You do it wrong and the fingers are backwards and it's
Right.
wrong and you have to redo the, you know what I'm saying? Like you prompt these engines and it comes out screwed up. You got it wrong. You get a really good prompt and it creates this really amazing outcome. So when we built our system, we said, pull in the ASINs, pull down the data that is this customer already needed data from those products, and let's build a listing of data that we now can score higher inside of our system than the existing listings in the marketplace. In other words, my data is believably better in our system than the one that's out there. So when we go launch that product, we literally feed that system the data. The minute that ASIN goes live on Amazon, it reads all of that data. And our goal is to get that prompt. And there's actually a score inside of Amazon that we get. It's called an IDQ score. The higher that score is to 100, the more relevant we are. The more the Cosmo and Rufus engine says, I know who you are. I know where you're going. I know who I should send in front of your product. And if they're convinced, then the conversions are going to convince me we got this right. So as people look and buy the product, it'll go, yep, I got this right. Let's keep your IDQ score high. And the higher my IDQ score is, the more relevant I am to the engine. So our scores literally come in at like 90 to 100 when they go in the market. So we already know we are completely aligned with our data and composite methodology. So when we launch these products, we're putting our best foot forward. And it's data at the end of the day. It's our prompts.
Is there any kind of a loop process there, Neil? I know you get the great score, you get more purchases, it goes back in. Does it improve, or is there a
Well, it
negative?
certainly can. What can happen? You could get a product that does well. The manufacturing is good. However many units you
Yeah,
have, quality control and everything is perfect. Even no particular mistakes or whatever. And reviews start to come in, and the product cycles well. And as those reviews come in positively, and those conversions go through, that economic flywheel starts to turn
yeah,
faster and faster, like the
yeah.
90,000 in sales we did in the first 30 days, right? Now, should the product have some manufacturing issue? Should it have some break in transit problems, damage, or otherwise you were not aware of? Should your return rates or negative reviews come in? You're going to cycle that down. So now you have a problem. I sold the thing, sales fixes everything, did a really great job, but now I'm having a high return rate, high failure rate, high negative review rate. I've got to fix that. How do I do that? What's the lever that I can pull? Do I crash and burn the whole thing and say the product's a failure? Or did I prove I could sell it? And really what I need to do now is fix the product.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've had 3 instances now where we have proven that the best thing to do for a product that ends up with a few manufacturing issues, and don't ditch the whole product because we sold the crap out of it. We re-engineer the product. We re-harden the process of manufacturing the product through its defects and resolutions, and anything we can do to fix the issues, drop tests or otherwise, that ensure its packaging is better than it was. Its manufacturing is better, components are better, it has a higher quality of materials, whatever it is, to fix those issues. And then we go back in the market,
Mm-hmm.
right? We go back in the market with fixed product. When I know I can sell that product really well, I go back in the market with the product that is fixed. Now, you over-engineer a product, take 2 years to just do the best engineering ever and never sell the product, someone else is already going to beat you to market. So which one is actually the better methodology? Right? Sell the product. And then if manufacturing does not create faults or drop ships, do not break the product or anything doesn't happen in that process, and all the reviews come good and that flywheel goes great, then you have a new problem.
Yeah.
Capitalize the inventory. You got to get a lot more product.
Well, let's get to that. There was something on your site about PPC, inventory management, and profit optimization. So I guess that's
Yeah. Well, those
inventory.
are all so much done now in blinky lights and dashboards. I feel like the best analogy for way we operate companies is like air traffic controllers that are moving a bunch of planes.
Mm-hmm.
We're literally watching blinky lights, dashboards, and product in motion from warehouse and Amazon to on the water to at the manufacturer to the marketing and PPC engines that are now telling us how is that product moving through the system, how fast is it converting, what's our total advertising cost of sale for those products, and is that within our thresholds of best practice? And this is literally operators able to run 2, 3, 4 of these companies because everything is dashboard driven now. They're not
Mm-hmm.
out humping it in the warehouse. They're not out, unloading boxes and stuff. They may take a few returns or whatever, but at the end, we can move container loads of product through these systems without ever touching it. And so much of this AI systems and optimization is now done by AI intelligence, from the forecasting and planning to the profit and loss of every SKU to when product is moving just in time, so we know when to set our reorder dates to ensure we have overlap and we don't stock out, to the PPC management campaigns that now start in 90 days, pulling all of that data down massaging that data and doing what we call an in-gram analysis and determining exactly which products are converting and which particular campaigns are converting the best, so we can then scale those
Yeah.
faster. And the AI systems help us compile that data and even help us make decisions on that data. So much of it, again, is being massaged data and analytics. There's not a
Yeah.
whole lot of emotions in that.
It's exciting. So tell us about scaling. So we have a great 90 days. The product reviews are
Yeah. How am I
terrific.
scaling?
And how do we make this from a successful business to a big, big, big business?
So I'll tell you, it with the Blizzy is just an example. I've got multiple other brands. It's just the one that keeps coming up to mind. So we'll
Mhm.
just keep using this. This is
Yep.
something happening right now. We are literally going back to engineering to fix 3 things we want to harden and make better about that product. We want a little slimmer, we want a little more compact, a little better on the handle. We want a little easier to clean. We have like 3 or 4 things we're going in to engineer to advance that product forward. And then from there, we've got a whole lineup of variation of colors. Okay. So one product, multiple color types. Why? Because not everybody just wants black and white. They want a lot of different colors. So we're going to pull up a whole base of different colors. And each of those products that goes in the system will be matched up with someone who wants an ice cream machine, but necessarily want a black or white one. They're going to want a color.
Yeah. I
So
want
we're
to
going to
just
have a
put it into the
variation. Yeah.
decor of my kitchen, right?
So we're going to have multiple variations of color types of that product. We've also launched a slushie into that brand that we're now testing as well for those who necessarily didn't want the ice cream component, but they like the frozen drink side of it.
Hmm.
And that one's starting to take off really well as well inside of that brand. And so next step with that one is to make 3 or 4 adjustments that we're going to probably make to it and then roll out a variation of that product line. So as we keep going through each successful product, we'll simply roll out more variation and SKUs of that product and widen across that base inside of our brand. So that anybody who eventually touches an ice cream machine concept in their mind, and they have a conversation with somebody, they see an advertisement or something, and they go to Amazon, is going to look at one of our product line bases, which could be 10, 20, 30 SKUs out. And we'll say, well, that's the one I was looking for. And oh, wait, they have a 64 ounce. I want that one too. Or they have the purple. Well, I'm going to oh my gosh, they've got this one. They've also got the slushy. I'm going to grab that too. So scale comes out of widening out the product base across every kind of use case, product type, and variation we can think of that meets the demand market and widens that big net out across all those product types and all that 36 million people who are searching for ice creams. And we're going to keep just innovating capacity, storage, size, colors, variations, and other things, and just keep marching those products out there until we sit and we hit another hero product, because it will come in time.
Yeah.
And
So
when
you're
the
building a brand inside that
brand,
need space that you.
now we're building a brand, right?
Yeah.
So those products will all have life cycles, but it's that brand that's going to keep going, right? The Blizzy will keep going for whichever type of product ultimately becomes the top 3, 5 hero SKUs. Those are the ones we're still identifying, and we'll continue to event through the innovation process of rolling these out. So we're always going to keep developing new product types and variations in the market and innovations of those product types to meet that demand. And you can go a long way in that growth and scale
Yeah.
when that happens. We did that.
You
Mhm.
also suggest, I think, on your website, Neil, and you talked about this last time you were here, about a portfolio, not just
That's what a
build that
brand
one
is,
brand, but
really.
build a portfolio, right?
It would always surprise people to realize that I don't know why they don't know this, but the AirPods, right, for your ears, is actually Apple's biggest selling product and most profitable, not the iPhones or the iMacs. See, those weren't even invented right up in the front of all this stuff. They were inventing computers, and they got to the iPhone and the iPod, and now they got to the AirPods. And with the AirPods, those are the best selling products they have, because they just kept innovating until another product just hit the market right. And now they sell billions of dollars of that product. We know that that is a process we have done in other businesses where we just keep selling additional variations and types of those products. We sell more of the same product in different packaging to people until we discover our hero products. Those are what build 7 and 8 figure companies or higher, because you just simply get more of that market share. The brand continues to go on. People talk about it. It becomes an economic engine with now the use of GPT conversations that are being basically driven by questions of use cases. Well, what is the best ice cream maker? How I want to make ice cream in 24 hours or less. How do I do that? Like, or what's the best ice cream recipe for an ice cream machine? And they're going to be asking all these questions into those GPTs, which they are. And our products are going to be showing up saying, well, hey, if you want it in less than 24 hours, you might want the Blizzy, because it doesn't do what the Ninja Creamy does. And these engines are now helping to propagate all that marketing out there for us.
Right.
So that
Yeah.
growth and scale will come out of the brand and the connectivity of people to that brand.
Yeah. It's a complete system and
It's a
AI
complete
commerce.
system. Yep.
You also, I think, offer successful entrepreneurs, an exit strategy if they
We
choose
do.
to take it, right?
Yeah, as the software goes out and basically goes through each of these steps of discovery and build and optimize through a product and a private label, we call it a product development platform. It's not just a research tool. It is every step along the way of building multiple products into a brand. And the reason why we're doing that and have done that is that ultimately, you ready for my big, hairy, capitalistic evil agenda? If the more people who become successful in that process, the more businesses we have to acquire. So as they raise up and come along with that process, we have a community, we have coaches, we have support within there to help them go through each of the product launch playbook steps. We're even finalizing our full course inside of there to support them. And we have community segments and stuff. And it is all engineered to take them from the discovery of a product idea that goes to market to multiple products to building that brand portfolio so that brand becomes an intrinsic asset, something that is a saleable asset in 3 to 5 years. At which point, the multiples of opportunity for that company could be extremely large. And so we want to build that up in such a way where they look at us and say, hey, we would be interested in selling that. And I want to be the first one in line that says, hey, we're looking at buying it.
Mhm.
So as people come into our system to use the software, they're also coming into a product development category of business builder who has an exit opportunity for anything they build into growth on that platform. So with the Cayman data, it's really about that build, discovery, build, and exits part of the growth and scale, and we're the exit at the end.
Yes, kind of a very complete, sophisticated incubator that
It really is.
will
Yep,
launch.
it's beyond the tool, and that's kind of what I want people to
Yeah.
understand. The tools enable the process, but it's the learning and growth of building a company that really this whole thing is meant to do.
Who are the great entrepreneurs in your system? Who will use it best? Who will be most successful? What's the
Yeah.
character?
Well, it's those who understand the idea of e-commerce, maybe did some research, already thought about it in some way, maybe even tried one time and didn't quite get it yet, but they still have the bug.
Hmm.
Who are aspiring to get a business like that going and see the opportunity to do it and just need the path, the process, the people, and the technology to help enable them go faster, to go over the hurdles, to miss the steps, to deploy the capital correctly, to answer the question, what the heck do I sell? And
Hmm.
actually get the business into a going concern that pays them profit, could help them build their empire or retire. So those folks are all ages and demographics. They could be like Daniel, who just is exiting his business in 5 years at $29 million. Started it in 2020, is now on a $29 million exit, and he was a golf course manager.
Hmm.
His wife and children in Florida. They live in Alabama now, but the end result is that he built a successful company that has now gone to an exit. They're tenacious, they're go-getters, and they were looking really for just the path. They were looking, they understand that technology's there, they understand the support could be there, and they don't have a place to see the community and combine that together. And that's kind of what we're offering, is both the technology, the people, and the process to help them build to an exit, because that's my end game, right?
Yeah, we call it a mindset. As you say, it's not demographics or anything like that,
Yep.
but it's a mindset that
Success mindset.
understands entrepreneurship. There's some risk, but you make it
Absolutely.
very systematic that you
Yeah.
eliminate most of the risks by going through
That's the
this.
goal. Yeah, the goal is to get them through the process of anything that they can see as a trouble or a hindrance, and we're there to support it through community, live weekly chats, monthly coaching sessions, to really help them see the knowledge and execution of that, along with the tool sets in the process that helps them build multiple successful products into a brand. That doesn't mean one product. It's a 5x5 methodology, meaning they need to be able to launch 5 products, and the tool and the system are all set up to help them understand how to go from discovery, build, optimize on multiple products to discover the data set that they get right in the system at the right time, that it wants to be, basically bought by the AI system because their prompt was good. And then they have to go out and take care of the opportunity, which is running it like a business owner. So it's not a side hustle or a hobby. While you can start on the side, Adam was a pharmacist doing 40 hours a week when he launched his brand, and has had good success with his products because of that. And so, it is an opportunity, but you're right. It's a mindset. It is
Yeah,
not just a side hustle, hobby business mindset. Is, hey, I want to really build something. Like, I
right.
want to see something be created in 3 to 5 years, not just something as a side hustle.
So, Neil, have we missed anything? We've described a very comprehensive and complete and highly detailed service.
Yeah. I
Anything else?
don't think we have. Thank you for, asking that. I'm sure people who are still hanging on with me here are, mind numbed. I talk fast, so forgive me for that.
No, no, no.
Um,
It's absolutely complete, and as I say, it's inspiring to think about. So let's point them towards you. How do you,
Sure.
if
Well, they can
anyone?
check out what we're doing. Yeah, thank you. They can check out what we're doing at caimandata.com. It's CAIMAN data.com. If you go to CAYMAN, we have that registered too, but that's not actually what it is an acronym of intelligence around Amazon intelligence. And you can check it out there. We will be releasing it very shortly for people who want to get on. I just want them to really stop and think this is not a tool I'm buying into, it's an entire system. So once they're in, there's community, there's training, there's weekly gatherings, there's a goal to build, a actual brand on this platform, not just use a tool to play around with data, but actually to take that data and turn it into something that could really change your life.
Right, and I think you hear the word solopreneurship bandied around, and it doesn't sound
Mm,
substantial. But what you're talking about, I like your expression better, is business ownership and everything that
business ownership.
entails. And then you're providing a system around that to make sure the business ownership is complete and substantial and method
Yeah, I want people to understand that my success isn't them signing up to a subscription; it's them actually launching a product. And that's why the whole system was built step by step to get them into a product development platform that is meant to help them continue to launch products to build a brand and build a holistic e-commerce company while also understanding how to cash flow that, manage it, spend the right time, and become a business builder. Someone who could really see something change in their life, not just because I signed up to some tool somewhere, didn't do anything with it. You won't get the
Sounds
outcome you're
like
expecting with that.
it's an exciting time, as you say, for business owners and business builders. So,
Yeah, I
well,
think
thank
so.
you very much, Neil, for everything you've
Thank you.
shared with us. As I say, it was very complete. We appreciate it very much. We'll send out the links. We'll promote the podcast episode, and we'll try and get as many people thinking about this opportunity as we can.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me on, Hunter. I appreciate you, brother.
Good. Thank you very much.
This has been another episode of the Value Creators Podcast. Thanks for listening. You can visit thevaluecreators.com for links and resources related to this episode. And check hunterhastings.com for more content on entrepreneurial business management based on value creation principles.